All right, Industry 4 community response. Why did we need to respond to recent developments? Take 0. All right, so this is a follow-up to our video on Friday. I'm basically going to cover 3 things here. And I think it's important. If you're in this community, I think you should watch this video. Please watch it to the end. I think it's an important message. And then we're going to move on from this. We're going to continue to move forward with our plan, but we're going to move on from it, okay? Number 1, I'm going to cover why do we need to respond, okay? Number 2, I'm going to talk about what our process is. And number 3, I'm going to comment on a couple of questions, okay? All right, so first and foremost, let me lay some foundations, all right? So why do we need, how did we get here? So Thursday night, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on Wednesday. I know some people are sick of it and many people are not, okay? But it has to be addressed as a community, okay? And I'll tell you why. Thursday night, I received a couple of messages from different community members who sent me, one sent me a video like that they took on their iPhone. They must have recorded their screen because they switched over and went to Instagram, I think it was, and showed me a series of posts. They were like swiping from a community member's Instagram celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And then another one sent me a video of someone's Facebook. I knew right away. I asked them not to tell me who it was. And I knew right away who one of the people were. I don't know everybody in this community. I'm going to talk about a response here in a second. But I knew right away one of them. One of them is an active member of the community, or a relatively active member. So I shot a video on Instagram Thursday night, and I just kind of got my feelings out, and then we talked as a team on how we're going to, how do we do this? I prayed about it. I really struggled with it. What's my responsibility here? Do we just reach out to him? How widespread is this going to be? By Friday morning, so by the next morning, it was 4. I had received more messages, and it was 4 community members. And up to that point, I only knew one of them. Okay, so when I shot the video Friday morning in Mastermind, the plan was, all right, we've formulated a plan. There's probably going to be 100 members of this community who posted something like this, okay, based on the math. So of the 400,000, we're probably going to have about 100 who did. And I did an analysis on X, doing a market analysis of verified accounts, and I used their API, and then I used the same formula that the CDC uses to calculate transmission rates of diseases, and basically came up with a rough estimation. What's the widespread impact going to be here? What percentage of people are posting that kind of thing? So then I did a video in Mastermind. I recorded my fellowship section of Mastermind Friday morning, and then that video is the one that went on YouTube. And our plan, that was part of our strategic plan on how to address this. Let me start with why we need to address it first, and then I'll tell you what our process is. Okay, and then I'm going to answer some questions. So why do we need to respond? So first off, we have 43,000 subs. We have a moral obligation to do something in this situation for a couple of reasons, and I'll talk about it in a second. But number 1, we have 43,000 YouTube subscriptions. We have a couple hundred YouTube members, and then we have 3.5 million views on Industry 4 content. Okay, think about it. Our industry is not big. It's 1 million people across the whole world, all right? 70% of our views are new viewers. Okay, that's a really good number. All right, our top regions that we cover are the United States, India, Germany, Canada, and the UK. Our top age groups are 25 to 34, 35 to 44, and 45 to 54 in order. So we're in order. US is our biggest market, then India, then Germany, then Canada, then UK. Our top age groups are 25 to 34. That's number 1. That's a third of our audience. and then 35 to 44, 45 to 54, and then others. That's the top 3. On LinkedIn, we have 50,000 followers. We do 5 million impressions per year on LinkedIn. IIoT.University, we have 14,000 students. 1,000 of them pay tuition. We have 8,000 in our Discord. On podcast platforms, we have 100,000 followers. And across all platforms, we have 400,000 unique viewers across our complete reach. Okay. Why do we have to respond? Okay. Well, values, leadership, and responsibility are 3 reasons. When you couple that with the gravity of the moment, you know why it is we have to respond. The fact that we have members of the community who just went way above a line, who crossed the line. And what does that say about the current state of our culture? And how do we change that? And the answer is industry leaders all across the industry. We are all coming together to do the same thing. I was on the phone yesterday with industry leaders all day long, except for when I went to the gym. Probably had 30 phone calls. A half dozen of those were CEOs. 2 of the CEOs oversee organizations with more than 100,000 people. And guess what? Every single one of them are doing the same thing. The difference is I'm telling the entire community what we are doing. Okay? Organizations right now are literally their HR departments are subcontracting out. They're going through social medias of their employees, and they are firing the people who posted celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. They're doing some type of punitive thing. Some might be handling it restoratively. Some of them might be handling it punitively, and I think they'll do that on a case-by-case basis. So values, leadership, responsibility, and the gravity of the moment are why we have to do this. Okay. I want to point out a couple of interesting things. That video we posted on Friday, which was This Needs to Be Said, our average like rate on a video is 97%. That video got 95% likes. It should have been 100. It should have been 100. So if you're a person who disliked that video, okay, even if the reason you disliked the video was, I just don't think this is something that should be on an Industry 4 channel, you really need to look inward. I mean, I don't care that you disliked it. I'm speaking to the result. If more people than normal dislike the video, which it's 95% like rate, then that's a you problem. You need to look inward. Because we absolutely 100% have a moral and business obligation to respond to this. 100%, absolutely. And all of you have a responsibility. The entire world, all of Western civilization, has a responsibility to be talking about this now. And if you disagree, I'd love to know why you think why we don't have a responsibility. And you might say something like, well, people get killed all the time. Why are we talking about this guy? The answer is because he was assassinated by somebody who disagreed with him. This was not a crazy person. This is a person who their mind got poisoned. That's the conclusion here. It's a political assassination. And if we can't win with the war of ideas, it comes down to a war of guns, and the people left standing are the people who kill the most. That's not a world anyone wants to live in. Okay, if you're a person who can't cope, you're probably not watching 9 minutes in. If you're a person who can't cope, you get triggered too easy. You're not a person who can handle challenges head on that you don't want to be dealing with. Toughen the fuck up. Toughen the fuck up. That's life. 2 important points. Our actions reflect on the institutions we represent, not just ourselves. Okay, you are. I believe I'm an absolutist when it comes to free speech, but I'm not saying that all speech should be accepted. I'm not saying that all speech should not have consequences. Okay? Clearly someone thought that it was okay to kill Charlie Kirk over the things he said. Okay? That's obviously wrong, and all of us have to take a stand against it. But if you're a person who believes, if you are a person who posted and said, Charlie Kirk deserved to die, you're celebrating his death, well, then you should accept the fact that you get fired for your words. If you think he should have been killed for his, then you should accept that you get fired for yours. You should accept that your educational institution finds out about your words. You should accept that your parents find out what you said. I'm going to explain the process here in a couple of minutes. Okay? We are offering an opportunity for redemption to any community member who posted something horrific. The second thing that I want to lay out is seeking to understand doesn't always lead to understanding. Okay? But you must first start with seeking to understand. Okay? Why? Number one, when we seek to understand, that prevents projection. That prevents us from assuming what the other person's thoughts, intentions were. And number two, it gives us the ability to discern the rational from the irrational. You don't work with the irrational. Get as far away from the irrational as you possibly can. Okay? The rational are redeemable. The rational are the ones we can talk through through discourse. We can find clarity and then agreement or compromise. You can't do that with the irrational. And seeking to understand helps us to discern who's rational and irrational. Okay, so very important points here. Why did we go through this whole process? Okay, here is the actual strat. Okay, you guys want to know what the strategy is? Here was the actual strategy. Okay, we would take this video in Mastermind, we'd produce it into a wide-reaching video, and we'd publish it on YouTube. I would go hard in the video. Okay, there is a reason we said we will find you and we will humiliate you. Those are provocative terms that will provoke and get people's attentions. It will get the video shared, which it did. It will get eyes on the video. Ideally, people across the entire community. Number two, we will start a discussion in the Discord server. And then I will tag at everyone, which I did when I said I am grateful for this entire community. We went through an entire conversation, and then I said I am grateful for this entire community at everyone, which hit 8,000 people. We got as many eyes on our stance as humanly possible. And our goal was, through these discussions and video, we get the people who posted these shitty things to take down their posts and self-remove. There are many people who are going to look at that and go, yeah, I fucked up. They're going to delete the post and they're going to remove themselves from the community. Then we are going to proactively review the remaining members of the community. And then we are going to ask for a one-on-one conversation with the people who posted something shitty, celebrating his death. We'll ask for a one-on-one conversation, and we will seek to understand. And then our conclusion will be remove the post and unfollow us, and we will keep this private. If you agree that it was a mistake to post this, the consequence is I don't want anything to do with you. That's the consequence. I am a reluctant leader of this community. I am not going to be in a community where there are people who would post that. Someone said in the Discord exchange that this is Walker's community. No, it is not. The Industry 4 community is bigger than just one person. I am the reluctant leader of it. Did we create it? Yes. But that doesn't make it mine. If that was my attitude, it wouldn't exist. I am a reluctant leader here. I make it well known to people I do not like being on camera, I do not like being on stage, and I don't want to lead this community. I don't say for a moment that that's what I want to do, ever, because I don't. But I can tell you this. My father used to tell me all the time, what I want is fucking irrelevant. Life is 90% doing what we have to do and 10% doing what we want to do. You want a life of meaning? Define your values, craft a mission, make your decisions based on your values to serve your mission. That's what I'm doing. We will seek the one-on-one. They'll remove the post, unfollow us. We keep it private. That's the redemption. The accountability is, I don't want you a part of this community. Actions have consequences. If you don't believe that asking someone to leave the community is a fair consequence for vile and disgusting comments about the execution, the public assassination and execution of a man whose only crime was public debate with respect, then you're the fucking problem. You need to look inward. The second step is we will proactively go through everyone, okay? And if they don't respond to our message or they choose to keep the post up after we talk, we're going to block them, and then we're going to repost their post publicly, and we'll send it to their parents, their schools, and their employers. And the reason we will do this is because we will take their refusal to remove the public post as their belief they stand by it. It is not a private communication. It is a public post. If you think that is unfair, you are the problem. If you are uncomfortable with it, explore why you're uncomfortable with it. Seek to understand yourself. But if you think that that's unfair, you are the problem. Our decision to do this is not the problem. You're the actual problem. That doesn't make you evil or bad. It means you probably don't understand why it is you think that way. There is a very good conversation in the Discord server I want to encourage you to go through. Okay? But I want to start with this. This community is for everyone. This community is for everyone who wants to learn about digital transformation in Industry 4 to serve the world. My mission is to help save and create middle-class jobs in the United States by helping manufacturers do more with less. Unified Namespace, Industry 4, IIoT, digital transformation, all the strategies we develop, it's all in the seeking of service. You know, when I started Intellic Integration in 2015, all of our customers were, most of them are oil and gas. So I started with a discrete manufacturer, 2 discrete manufacturers, and that were major, big, huge companies. And then it was oil and gas. It was like 4 oil and gas companies, back to back to back. And one of the things that I said to the oil and gas company is we work with you and we charge you a premium so that we can pass your premium onto discrete manufacturers who can't afford us. We are offsetting what they pay less than you. And if you work with us, you know that you're also helping discrete manufacturers who can't afford to pay your rate. That's a values-based decision. That's about impact. This community is about that type of value system. Yes, we're here to train engineers and to create a community where we can have diverse conversations about technology. But we are human, and we have greater responsibilities than just tech. I just want to go over a couple of these comments, and then I want to encourage you to go to the Discord Twitch server and the general channel. I don't know if this is going to be published publicly or if it's just going to be an unlisted video. I'm going to decide when it's all done. So that's why I blacked it out. But a community member said, as tragic as an event as it was and as disrespectful and disgusting any celebration of such is. Okay? Whenever someone does this right here, just ignore this. You know, whenever someone, posts, this is a life lesson. When someone says, as this, they start with this preposition, or they start with or they end with the preposition but. So, as tragic as an event it was, and as disrespectful and disgusting any celebration of such is, that's actually not a qualification. It's softening the blow of the second statement, which is, this is the actual message. Hunting people down on all social media with the intent to humiliate them is not seeking to understand. I hope that I clarified what our process was. Okay? So there is an opportunity for redemption in there, and we are seeking to understand. And we are trying to discern the rational from the irrational. But even if they're rational, we're holding them accountable. Okay? And they have two options for accountability. One is they realize they fucked up. This is not okay. It's not moral. It's not right. Okay? You're free to say those things, but you represent the institutions that you're a part of. You know, as of yesterday, it's 11 members of the community, 10 of which I've never heard of, but they are, in fact, members of the community. Only one of them do I actually know. That was as of yesterday. And we haven't even started researching. These are just the messages being sent to me. We are seeking to understand them. And so I just kind of reiterated, hey, this is the process. But I wanted to point out, this is a fair course of action. And if I'm being completely frank, I think it's more than gracious to even offer a one-on-one, considering most would not be the least bit interested in seeking to understand someone who would celebrate the death of another simply because they disagreed. This isn't about politics. Somebody later on says we shouldn't be discussing politics. This isn't politics. Politics is a discussion of policy. This is fucking humanity. And this is humanity. This is a question of humanity that has touched this community. It was community members who sent me the original messages. Do you want me to just magically not be transparent now because it'll make you feel better? Get over yourself. Are there people who are going to leave this community over this? Yes. Good riddance. Good riddance. Because what will remain are people who share common values. Yes, even about dignity and humanity. It is one thing to say something is violence. It is another thing entirely for something to be violence. We can debate over whether or not words are violent. We cannot debate whether or not fucking shooting someone in the neck in front of 300 college students on video over their words is violence. And political violence at that, which is a sign of the degradation of the West, which is something that this person, Charlie Kirk, happened to be fighting against. The irony is astounding. This is not because I loved Charlie Kirk. I didn't. I had nothing to do with Turning Point USA. I didn't follow Charlie Kirk. I knew who he was. How does this hit home for me? It hits home for me in a lot of ways. It hits home for a lot of other people too. There's the number of DMs I have from people. I haven't even answered everyone. And if you did send me a DM, I promise you, there's like 130. Okay, so I can't go through 130 before I catch my flight to ICC today. 133. It's hit home for a lot of people. Earlier this year when I was giving a speech in Germany, I was accosted after my speech by some Norwegian guy who angrily and violently, if I wasn't as big as I am, accosted me after my speech. A speech he mentioned Trump in. Or when he accosted me, he mentioned Trump. So yeah, this fucking hits home. Guess what? I use words. I use words to yield results. I'm not a violent person, and I love and respect all people. And I believe in the sanctity of humanity. Yeah, it fucking hits home for me. We can't allow that to be accepted. We cannot allow that to be accepted. We have to collectively say no. You're free to say it, but you're not free from accountability. Here was another comment from someone. This is a young guy from the European Union. And I put this here for a reason. So I want you to pay attention to why we seek to understand. It prevents projection. Okay? Okay? Prevents projection. So he said, I really appreciate the platform you've built here for people I respect and the content you produce. I know your values are important to you, and I don't expect that to change. Values should be important to everyone. I just wanted to give this feedback. The way you sometimes push a particular political viewpoint is off-putting to me. First off, I don't push a political viewpoint. There's only one video I've ever shot where I discussed politics. And I even said to him in a later exchange, I'm sure you've never watched it. Turned out he did. He did watch it, actually. It's on a very small channel that we don't promote. He said, calling for seeking understanding or toning down violent rhetoric in the community is fine. Well, thank you for your permission. But I don't care for rants about critical race theory ruining America. Well, first off, I don't believe critical race theory ruined America. Therefore, I have never ranted that it did. It's clear this event hit closer for you than other recent political assassinations. Yes, because there is no comparable. If you look at the circumstances, it's not comparable. This political assassination is not a crazy person. This is not a loner. This is not the disaffected. This is someone whose mind was poisoned. This is someone from a good family who was a good student in high school. He had all the things around him, but his mind was poisoned. But a comprehensive doxing campaign is an overreaction. First off, taking a public comment that someone makes and making it public is amplification. Okay, it's not doxing. I am not proposing that we share any information that they didn't share themselves. All we are doing is amplifying who is shared with. That is not doxing. This right here is a perfect example of projection. He didn't send me a message for clarification. He projected on me things I did not say and things I do not believe. It's a fucking perfect example of the problem. And this is a smart kid. And we had a great exchange after this. You can read it in the Discord. We had a great exchange and we came to a consensus. But it was through discourse that we got to that. Open discourse, exchanging words. You know, he made this comment. I think he's the one who made the comment that there's a healthy dose of Christianity and America first in the Industry 4 community. Okay. I want to address that piece. Yeah, I am. If this community extended out of messaging Me trying to educate the market starting in 2018, stop doing these things. And it just organically grew. It built an audience, and it organically grew, and then it became 4.0 solutions in 2020 and IoT.university and Discord, and our reach just continued to expand over, I am who I am. I've done what I've done. I say what I say. I've achieved what I've achieved. And I've helped who I've helped, in part because I am a Christian and because I'm an American. I am America first, but I am not America only. And I said that later. The world is better off when America is strong, when the values upon which America was founded resonate. Okay? One of the things that Charlie Kirk used to talk about all the time was he would say, Marxism is creeping in all over the world. Now, I don't want to have a debate about social theory, but I want to point out three things, okay, because I need to address this later comment. Marxism is built on a concept that you have to eradicate three things, okay? In order for communism to take hold, there are three things you must eradicate. So communism and democracy, they are mutually exclusive, okay? Communism and capitalism are mutually exclusive, and they are mutually exclusive for three reasons. Number one, communism requires that you eradicate religion, you eradicate the family, and you eradicate property. Okay? Those are fundamental principles upon which the West was founded. Religion, okay, not one religion, but the values that extend out of Judeo-Christian values. Number two, the family unit has played a huge role in passing on the values that create the people who are industrious and innovative. And then private property incentivizes those people you create in the family, that passes on the values from faith, to take that incentive and innovate for the betterment of all people. Okay, now whether you agree with whether you think that's a good system or a bad system, I'm not arguing good or bad. What I am arguing is different, in conflict with one another. Okay? Charlie Kirk talked a lot about that. Charlie Kirk talked in love, and he got murdered for his views. And that and celebrating his life, celebrating his death is reprehensible, disgusting, but more importantly, at a macro level, it's indicative of a much larger problem that must be addressed. And based on the conversations I had with Industry 4 leaders yesterday, we're all addressing it. This is a bellwether moment. The fundamental difference between the way we're approaching this in the community and the way it's being handled in the private sector, that is in employers, is they're not telling their employees they're going through everything and holding them accountable. They're doing it quietly. Microsoft, for example, made an announcement, and some companies are making announcements. I would say this. Now, I'm going to read one other thing here at the bottom. I think if this triggers you, you should ask why. You really should. It's one thing if you're tired of the conversation. You know what I mean? We get exhausted. That happens. But if it triggers you, you should ask why. Somebody said, how about keeping politics out of the conversation? We're not discussing policy. I don't think anyone should be celebrating his death. I guess the fact that his assassination we talked about in this Discord threw me off. I thought this was more Industry 4 related. We are talking about the implications of this assassination and the things that people said who are members of the Industry 4 community. And we have to address it. If you think that we don't need to address it, and I said that to him, he didn't respond, obviously. I'm like, if you think I shouldn't say anything, that's a different discussion. But you can't possibly go through our values of transparency, authenticity, expertise, humility, and servant leadership, and put it in the context of people reaching out and going, did you see this? And saying the best course of action is nothing. Don't bring it up at all. All right, now I want to finish with this. I want to close with this. So there was a young lady who commented later in the Discord thread. Her thoughts. And I'm just going to go ahead and read what she said and what my reaction was and then comment. And I hope that this illustrates exactly what my point is and what my goal is. Okay. She says, I feel like there's a fine line between condemning people celebrating his death and implying that everyone here should consider him a good person. Nobody should be killed for their political beliefs, and there truly should be a common fight for freedom of speech for everyone in the world. Yes, he was a father. Yes, he was a husband, but many are killed every day, and they are also fathers, husbands, or mothers, or wives, or daughters. All right, let me stop there. No one here is suggesting that another person's death is any less tragic than any other. I go back to my original point, which is the gravity of the moment. Okay, there's a reason that the world's interest is piqued when JFK was assassinated, when he's the president of the free world and he is the leader of the most powerful nation on earth, and when an obscure political leader in India is assassinated at the exact same time. The gravity of the moment matters. Okay? You know, the good person, everyone implying that everyone here should consider him a good person. I wasn't implying that you should consider he's a good person. I was saying he was a good person. Okay? And what is a good person? A good person is a flawed person who recognizes that they're flawed, but strives in everything that they do to be better and to have a positive impact on people. That's what good people are. Okay? If maybe you have a different definition of a good person. I wasn't implying that you should... What I would say is if you think he was a bad person, you should explore why you think he was a bad person. Okay? But I'm going to use the second part of your comment to hopefully prove my point. All right? So you said, she says, I'm not liberal by any means, nor am I conservative either. I don't really take extremes in the political spectrum. I actually will disagree with you, and I'll be able to prove that here in a moment. However, it feels sort of unfair to me that this specific life was put on a pedestal in this community when many others are killed unlawfully every day. Actually, no, we were responding to the moment. I didn't just wake up in the morning and go, it's very important that we talk about Charlie Kirk. I responded to people reaching out and going, look, this guy was killed for, this guy was assassinated for what he said. And it's the culmination of 10 years of an escalation in the language coming from his opponents. And he ends up being the target. And the reality is that the people who were justifying why they were happy he died was because they said he spewed hate and that he was a fascist. And he was neither. Literally, the person who shot him was a fascist. That's what fascists do. Like, the irony is lost on the shooter. That fascism is the authoritarianism. He wasn't fighting against authoritarianism. He was imposing it. But the reason we have to address that he spewed hate and that he was a fascist, because those are the arguments people are using to justify why they're happy that he died. That's the reason we have to respond to that. That's not putting someone on a pedestal. I was under the impression that this was an industrial engineering Discord, and for my personal learning, not for your personal learning. That's very telling that you said my personal learning. It's actually a community, okay? And it's for everyone, okay? And it's not just for you to learn, okay? It's for you to contribute. It's for you to exercise fellowship and not to enforce political beliefs. We aren't enforcing political beliefs here. We're not talking policy. Okay? Or prioritize a certain man's death over countless others. We're not prioritizing Charlie Kirk's death. What we are doing is responding to the actions of Industry 4 members in service of our responsibility. Are you suggesting that we should do nothing? We don't have a responsibility to say anything. That members of this community are celebrating the death of another man. Not, they didn't mention him. That we didn't bring up the death. They celebrated it. And a number of people celebrating it, because they say he spewed hate and was a fascist, must be addressed. Okay? And not to enforce, counsel. He unfortunately did have many hateful beliefs. No, he did not. That is objective. What you stated there is not correct. So I'm going to give you a challenge. The challenge I'm going to say to you is this. Give me the example of the hateful thing. Give me the example of the belief he held that was hateful, and give me the example of the thing he said that was hateful. Okay? And then I think what you'll have to do is go back to what it is you consider as hate. All right? That were unrelated to Christianity. Beliefs that were political and actually hateful towards many people. That is not true. You hold a belief that the assassin had that is not true. It is objectively untrue. We have spent days trying to find a statement he made that was hateful. We spent days trying to find a person he hated, a group he hated. We've spent days. It's not true. What you said here is not true. It is your opinion. It is untrue. And I challenge you to provide evidence that he hated. To say that he wasn't hateful is coming from a place of privilege. Okay? No, it's not. Okay? First off, privilege doesn't exist. Privilege was a theory. It's part of critical theory. Okay? It is a lens. It is not reality. It is a lens through which to look. It is not reality. Okay? And I'm gonna point something out here. Okay? I'm coming to you in love here. All right? That you may or may not know that you hold. Do you want to know why it is that the practitioners of critical theory say that privilege is something that can't be measured? So that it can't be debated. So that the person who has the authority over privilege is the one who established the theory. It is a way of shutting down conversation. Okay? This isn't meant to be mean or upsetting message. First off, I don't consider whether you're trying to be mean. I don't really think in terms of feelings like that. Okay? I'm simply confused as to why it's becoming a topic of discussion in a server such as this one. And I hope that the rest of the previous parts of this video explain it. Okay? I've walked all the way through it. As a person of color, an immigrant, a woman, and a non-Christian person, you feel unsafe. I feel unsafe seeing praise for the guy. Why do you feel unsafe? Your safety is a function of threat. Okay? Threat to your body. Okay? Where is the physical threat? What I'm going to tell you is this, and I'm gonna talk to you the way Charlie would talk to you. Okay? I'm gonna give you an example of how he would have handled this conversation. All right? Because he wouldn't have hated you. He would have loved you. He would have come to you in a moment of love. Okay? In fact, here's exactly what he would have said to you. This is his exact quote. He said, "You will never be the best version of yourself if you allow other people to convince you that you can't be better because of your skin color, because of your sexual identity, because of the community you came from. You must resist those narratives at all costs if you truly want to be successful in America." What he is telling you is Don't allow someone else's opinion to paint you into a corner. So this you did not deduce this. Okay? As a person of color, an immigrant, a woman, and a non-Christian person, I feel unsafe. No. Someone created a construct in your brain. They taught you critical theory. You heard it over and over and over again. Someone told you you were a victim. Someone told you you were in danger over and over and over again. You took your lived experiences, you laid that construct on top of your lived experiences, and you concluded that you were in fact unsafe. And then you concluded from that he spewed hate and that he was a fascist. You didn't say fascist, you said hate. And what he would have said to you in this moment is that you will never be the best version of yourself if you allow other people to convince you that you can't be better because of your skin color, because of your sexual identity, because of the community you came from. You must resist those narratives at all costs if you truly want to be successful in America. That's what he would have said. Those are his words. That's not hate. It's truth. It's truth. And if you look at everything that we've talked about, okay? If you look at everything that we've talked about earlier, you didn't seek to understand, okay? I want to encourage you to seek to understand. I understand you better than you understand me. And I think Charlie would have understood you better than you understood him. And he would have sought to understand you. I would love to have a conversation with you. I would love to sit down and talk to you and ask you why it is you feel unsafe. And if you came with an open mind and an open heart, I guarantee that if you are rational and you're reasonable and you seek to understand, we would find clarity and agreement. I believe that in my heart. And I hope that for many of the people who posted celebratory comments about Charlie Kirk's assassination, they were misguided. I hope they were misguided. But the reason this is important is the gravity of the moment, our responsibility and our values. This isn't just another death. It's a point in time that many things in the future will be traced back to, including conversations just like these. Most people skipped over. So the vast majority of people in the Discord server said, "I'm not engaging with that. That's scary. I'm not engaging with that." She invoked person of color, immigrant, woman, non-Christian person. I'm not gonna let her accuse me of being a bigot and ism or whatever. Her worldview is that she's a victim. She's oppressed. That's what people saw when they read that. I didn't see that. What I saw is misguided. Misguided. And I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'm willing to have a conversation with you, rooted in logic, where you will explain to me that you are actually unsafe. Because you're not. You are wanted here. Your voice, we want to hear your voice. I want to hear everyone's voice here. As long as you share the values and you seek to understand. Okay? But what Charlie would have said to you is that you will never be the best version of yourself if you allow other people to convince you that you can't be better because of your skin color, because of your sexual identity, because of the community you came from. You believe you have to change the society. And I know that based on the statement you said here. That you have to change the world for you to be successful. And you don't. You don't. I have an adopted daughter who is a woman of color. And I'm half Cherokee. Okay? She is not held back by being a woman or being a person of color. And she's not particularly Christian. Okay? Someone convinced you you're a victim and you're not. You aren't. You aren't. But I just want to point out, you are safe here. It is only a discussion because actual members of the community dehumanized him and celebrated his death publicly. And we can't ignore that. Okay? The moment is too big. The gravity is too big. He was killed because people disagreed with him. That was his offense. That's not putting someone on a pedestal. Okay? Those who are dehumanizing him are saying he spewed hate and was a fascist, and those points had to be addressed. And even you said that he spewed hate, and he did not. You will go and try to find hate, and you won't find it. You won't find it. And you probably won't apologize for it either. You will, I hope, that you don't retreat, and I hope you don't walk away, and I hope you don't leave the community. I hope your perspective changes and that you feel safe. That's what I hope. But in the meantime, you will be safe. And you will be heard. I want to finish with, we all have to own our feelings. Okay? Our feelings cannot be trusted all the time. Feelings are not rational. If we make our decisions based on how we feel, then we will end up with very vacillating outcomes that are a function of our feelings. There are times when we're scared when there's no threat. Okay? Feelings are not rational. You can go to a haunted house and be terrified and there's no threat. That's a feeling. Fear is a feeling. How do you overcome? How do you gain the proper perspective when you're afraid and there's no threat? Sometimes it's exposure. But most of the time, it's a seeking of understanding. It's a rationalization. It's putting where I'm at in context. It isn't leaning into the fear. Just like in this moment, it isn't, we are mourning. Anger is part of mourning. Leaning into that anger, giving into it is not. Okay? It had to be addressed. And if it nukes the community, let me say this, so be it. We have a greater responsibility in this world than just educating engineers or just educating you. You said my education. And if you want me to do a Q&A live and answer any of your questions, I'm happy to do so. I am. And if you want to have a private conversation one-on-one, I'll do that too. Okay? But I'm going to tell you what it is I tell anyone who regurgitates this, the privilege stuff and you know, the intersectionality and, you know, I win the oppression Olympics. I'm more oppressed than you. You know, if we add up all the points, I'm more oppressed. Okay? The Cherokee are the most oppressed of any of the minority groups in North America. My mom got murdered when I was 7. I grew up in a trailer park. Okay, I had no family other than my adopted family. Okay, the list is long and distinguished. I have a younger brother who died of a heroin overdose. I have one brother I've never met. I have one who's been in prison multiple times. My adopted mother died when she was 47. I had a son who had epilepsy. Every one of us has a reason to be a victim. Okay? But you will never be the best version of yourself if you allow other people to convince you that you can't be better because of your skin color, your sexual identity, because of the community you came from. You must resist those narratives at all costs if you truly want to be successful in America. It's beliefs like that, it's statements like that, it's impact, and it's the response to a man's death, an American's death, a father and a husband publicly, for political reasons, and the response to some members of the Industry 4 community why we had to respond the way we have. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. And I don't know if this will be public or whether it'll just go privately on the Discord, but this will be the last video I do on it, and you guys now know how we're going to handle it, and we'll address it in the future. All right. Thank you. Bye.